Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypher Box, and the WBC have decided they will not be suspending Luis King Kong Ortiz. They've basically decided to give him a pass, giving him the benefit of the doubt, let him off the hook, whichever way you want to see it. Now, if you remember back in September, Luis Ortiz failed a Vada test, drug test. He tested positive for the use of masking agents, which are used to hide the use of PEDs, which were found in blood pressure medication he was taking. Now, apparently he suffers from high blood pressure, so he needed this medication. He did not notify Vada when filling out the forms, even though I've told you, and a lot of people out there start making excuses in the sense that, oh, he doesn't speak English isn't his first language, etc, etc. Remember, I did a video proving that you can actually download and print these forms, these Vada forms, in Spanish. So they do come in Spanish, so that's not a good enough excuse. But still, he didn't fill the forms out correctly. Clearly tried to hide the fact that he was taking his high blood pressure medication. Let's not forget, Luis Ortiz has failed 2 drug tests in the past. I believe the last one was 2014, when he was a WBA interim champion. At the same time, the WBA, however, are still sticking to their guns. They've still got him suspended from boxing. I believe it's for 12 months, I think it is. And they've stripped him, they've basically taken him out of the WBA rankings as well. And the reason they're sticking to their guns is because they've said he's previously tested positive. And when he was the WBA interim champion, that's when he tested positive for the use of PEDs. WBC have also decided to restore him to the WBC rankings, or his original rankings. Now, he was ranked number 1 as a number 1 contender. I read in boxingscene.com that he's now going to be ranked number 3. So he's going to be put back into the rankings at number 3 in the WBC heavyweight rankings. Now, here's my take and opinion on this topic. What is the point of having a clean boxing program if you're going to just let people off the hook? It's a pointless program to have then. And the WBC consistently do this. They consistently do this with a lot of fighters. Fighters claim they've had contaminated meat, etc. Alright, yeah, we believe you, let you off the hook. And you know, they consistently do this. Now, it's nothing new. If you follow boxing as much as I do, you will know for full well that they do this all the time. Yeah? That fighters get let off the hook for whatever reason. My point with Luis Ortiz is, fair enough, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he actually has high blood pressure medication. By the way, the WBC has said they're going to be monitoring his health, and they're going to be consistently testing him going forward quite often as well, which I can understand. But my point being, let's say he does suffer from high blood pressure pills. Okay? He chose not to notify Vada, which he could have done in forms that came in Spanish, like I said earlier on. So there's no excuse in terms of a language barrier. He chose not to notify Vada. Why? 2 reasons. Either he was generally hiding it because he was taking PEDs and he was trying to mask those performance enhancing drugs by taking these blood pressure pills. Or 2, he was afraid that the WBC would find out that he was in poor health and they would not allow him to fight. Now the funny thing is, the WBC, before a fight, will always do a physical on each fighter to make sure that they're healthy and they're fit and they're physically able to compete in the ring. So whether you try to hide it for that reason or not, you're gonna get caught. Because come fight night, or a couple of days before fight night, if you get a physical done on you and you're still suffering from this high blood pressure, then they're going to know it, because they're going to test all this stuff on you anyway. They're not going to send you into the ring and leave themselves vulnerable like that. So in my opinion, what was the point of hiding it if you know you got to take a physical? Second of all, if you're suffering from high blood pressure, think about it, why would you take a fight against the WBC heavyweight champion of the world? Why would you take a fight at all? You're putting your own life at risk Yeah? Because you suffer from a dangerous condition. The doctor from the Florida State Athletics Commission made it sound like life or death. You know, this is a life-threatening condition. He suffers from hypertension. It's life-threatening. It's a life-threatening condition. That's what he was saying over and over again. So, why would you even sign to have the fight in the first place? You know, which makes me think in my head, when you think about all those things, yeah, when you put all those things together, you have to think in your head, well, hold on, it doesn't make sense because to hide it, even if it was for the use of high blood pressure, because the WBC would have found out, because end of the day, trying to hide your high blood pressure issue is going to be not going to be easy, because they're going to do physicals on you. 2, you're going to get caught by Vada anyway, because they're going to see it in your bloodstream, in your blood system. You're going to get caught one way or another. You know, you're going to get caught taking these pills anyway. Or you're not going to be allowed, if you get away with using these pills, you're not going to be allowed to box anyway, because the physical you will fail the physical for the fight, and the WBC will pull you out of it. So again, what was the point of lying, right? And 2, you're pretty stupid if you're going to put your life at risk like that. That's the way I look at it. Okay. Now let's talk about the WBC's decision not to suspend. Okay. Actually, let's talk about the WBA. The WBA are sticking to their guns. I hope they don't change their minds. And I agree with what they're saying and why they're doing it. Okay? You cannot forget that this man has failed previous drug tests and been found positive for actually using performance enhancing drugs. He's been caught before. So this is not like a first time for him, alright? This is the first time he failed a drug test. It's the first time you've done this. You know what? We'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but we're going to do thorough physicals on you going forward, because obviously we need to make sure you're in good health with the fights. And not only that, we're going to test you very regularly. Those are the conditions of not suspending you. Sure, no problem. Fine, I get it. If it was a first time offence, fine, I can understand. I can probably accept that to a point. You look at Domain Stavern, who recently tested positive a few months ago because he had for a substance which was found in an energy drink he was drinking, and he was given the benefit of the doubt. I get it. Even Dillian Whyte here in the UK, he bought over-the-counter supplements which were put on the ban list that day, and he took them that day. And then when he tested, he popped positive. And I think he actually think he got a 12-month ban for that. Even though he could prove that he bought it on the day that it was added on the list, I think the UCAD still gave him a ban for that, I believe. So, do you know what I mean? There was no benefit of that doubt given there. But you could have easily given Dillian Whyte one, you know? So, I don't understand how the WBC are letting this man off the hook. I agree with the WBA, the way they've looked at it. Said, well, hold on, you've tested positive before. And that was once when you were holding one of our belts. Now you've tested positive again, not for a PED, but for a masking agent that's used to mask the use of performance enhancing drugs. But the WBC, as always, or as consistently they do, which is quite regularly, have let him off the hook and given him the benefit of the doubt, and not used their head and said, well, hold on, you've tested positive before. How are we supposed to trust you this time? How are we supposed to take your word for it? I would have loved to have been in that room, because I would have asked some serious questions to Luis Ortiz, and which I doubt that our WBC, questioned him or put to him. That's the way I see it. Maybe the WBC are looking at this from a profitability point of view. Maybe this makes a fight against Deontay Wilder even bigger now. More revenue, more cash coming in. Everyone's out there quick to throw out the words corruption these days, and it's the first word that gets used when people think a fight has been robbed in a fight by the judges, but no one's using it here in this instance. As far as I'm concerned, the WBC Vada clean boxing program doesn't mean jack. It's not worth the paper it is written on. if you're gonna consistently allow fighters off the hook, especially fighters who are serial offenders like Lewis King Kong Ortiz, which he is, then what is the point? How are you protecting other fighters? You know, if he was using PEDs, yeah, he's actually endangering another fighter's life. How are you protecting that fighter from him? Seriously. As far as I'm concerned, the WBC's Vada clean boxing program is just all for show. It's a publicity stunt to make it out like they're looking out for the best interests of the fighters. Doesn't mean anything. Like I said, it's not worth the paper it is written on. Okay, well that's all I've got to say on this subject. Extremely disappointed by the WBC. Feel free to share your opinions on this subject. As always guys, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cyphbox reminding you to keep it real.